Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Explicit Sage back with another review. I am going to give you all you need to make the best and most intelligent gaming decision today. I'm back here with another patient gamer review. As usual, we're going to run down the story, the gameplay, music, world, overall rating, spoilers, everything that we need to talk about today. And the game on the agenda is Metro Redux. Now, Metro Redux is a remaster of Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light. I'm gonna give you a full breakdown on these two games and give you a staunch decision on whether you should be picking up this game or not. Let's get into it. I'm going to jump right into the meat and bones of this game. I'm going to give you a short little story synopsis and a little bit of information on the games we're talking about here. Of course, this is a remaster. Now, I'm going to handle this review as if they were honestly one game, because I have to give 4A games their flowers. They were able to recreate these two games and make them into one coherent and smooth experience altogether. If I'm going to mention the rather important differences between these two games, because they play exactly the same, because it's a really well done remaster, but the difference is that Last Light definitely has a stronger story and stronger characters. You know, there are more plot twists, there's more human on human interaction, including the various factions that are involved that you will get to know as you play through the games. But that's the main differences between the two. While Metro 2033, the original, has a much more of a focus on the journey and more of a focus on the horror side. As you know, this is your first introduction to the world, these vast and quite scary creatures that you have to deal with. And the main character you'll be playing as Artyom, coming to grips with that. Now, if I give you just a little basic overlay of the story, it is essentially, a post-apocalyptic first-person shooter. You've played these type of games before on Call of Duty. You're used to this type of gameplay. It isn't going to be anything new. You play as Artyom. He is a boy who grew up in the Metro. The world has been ravaged by nuclear missiles and by nuclear warfare, and the surface world is no longer safe for humans to live. So the people have been forced down into the metro, the subway station, the train stations. So that's where they live, that's where they survive, that's where they grow their food, that's where they make everything happen. And we essentially follow Artyom on his journey to warn the rest of the metro civilization about the upcoming threat of the Dark Ones. The Dark Ones are the main villains, friends or foe, that you'll be dealing with in this game. They're a main aspect of the game, and definitely an interesting part of it. There's definitely, of course, a supernatural aspect to it, whether it's not just restricted to the supernatural creatures, the weird monsters that you face, but it's also some mind-bending, interesting missions that you will be playing through in this game. The narrative is interesting enough to keep you engaged throughout the entire experience, but what I will say is that this game is definitely more about the journey than an intricate narrative / plot experience. You follow Artyom throughout his journey, and you're going to have very memorable places throughout your entire journey. You will enjoy the entire road map that you take to reach the final destination. Now, let's consider the gameplay. Now, what we do have to understand that this is a remaster of a pretty old game. Now, the gameplay, you've definitely, it's 2022, you've definitely played a number of first-person shooters or other shooters that are far superior to Metro in terms of gameplay. What I will mention that's very clear about this game is that there isn't exactly one particular part of the game that makes it spectacular or absolutely surreal. It's definitely a sum of its parts. This is, the product of a good team working together to bring all these parts together to tailor make a really good and interesting experience for the player. It's something that you're definitely going to be enjoying. Now, for speaking about the gameplay is quite solid. You're going to enjoy yourself shooting. You have multiple weapons that you can use. And it's interesting because, these aren't, of course, not conventional weapons. These are homemade, makeshift type weapons that are interesting and look very, very unique. You've never seen weapons like this. Of course, there are some variations. It's Russia, so there's some variations of the AK and multiple different weapons that you can be playing with. But it's unique. different. You're not going to be seeing stuff you see in most other shooters. Gameplay is solid and you're not going to be disappointed in any way in that department. Of course, this is a bit of an older game. This is a remaster that was released in 2014, so compared to the new stuff, it is going to feel slightly more janky, but they've made the experience so that you don't feel negatively impacted by a bit of that jankiness. You know, it's solid enough and interesting enough, and the other aspects of the game, such as the visuals and the immersion, definitely step that up. And I'm going to segue right into the immersion and the user interface and how those two things are quite well linked in this game. What I'd say this game does best is they try their absolute best to try and immerse you into the experience and make you feel like you are Artyom going through these difficult trials that he has to face. There are things such as you changing your face mask, you wiping your mask, you caring for yourself, ensuring that you have enough oxygen to make it throughout your journey. You ensure that you have enough electricity to light your torch so you can stay lit in bright areas, because these creatures, they thrive in the dark. So there are lots of things that are here that make you much more immersed into the world. Now, the creatures that run away from the dark, that's much more in Last Light, but over here you don't want to spend too much time in the dark because you want to know exactly what's happening in your surroundings. It's a good remaster and the user interface is very solid. Everything's straightforward. It is very user friendly. It's going to be easy for you to work through your menus. You'll completely understand which weapons you need to upgrade. Never any confusion when you're trying to figure something out, change weapons, how much ammo you have. Of course, there are different modes in terms of the gameplay, which the special exception of the Ranger mode, which pretty much hides all the user interface and all the things that games tend to have, such as your ammo count, and that's just to improve immersion somewhat. But of course, this is a mode that you'll play after subsequent playthroughs. Now, something that I've mentioned is the world and how well the game is able to immerse you. But you only want to be immersed in a world that you actually find interesting and want to be a part of. And that's another one of the strong parts of this game. This world feels real, really authentic. And I think the author, what the game is based on, the Metro series that came out in Russia. The author's name is Dmitry Glukovsky, the author of the book series Metro that these games are based on, is a pivotal part of what makes this game truly feel real and authentic. The visual fidelity of this game looks absolutely great, but it's more so how well these developers were able to capture this world. It looks beautiful and tragic at the same time. The vistas look really, really good. The visuals are definitely top of the line, and it looks real. The place feels authentic. You can definitely see people live here. You can see their little farms. They've thought of everything, water system, toilet system, or whatever, food. There's so many different things that that these people have to adapt to these very harsh conditions that they live in, and it's interesting to see how they deal with these issues in this post-apocalyptic world. Now, if we compound this fact with the game's great ability to immerse you into the world, it makes the overall experience that much better, as it's a world that you actually really want to be a part of and experience. While it being sad, it is something that you want to walk in and just experience for yourself. It feels special and real. Now, the music choice that was chosen for these games are really, really good as well. Very solid music selection, something you'll definitely enjoy. The main soundtrack of the game that comes in the main menu is a soundtrack that's always going to stick with me when I think of this game. I think a great thing about music is that it can become a soundtrack to your life, and when you're thinking of things, and when I think of the Metro series, the main OST is always going to come back to my mind, and I'll always remember it fondly. Now let's get into the real important part. Let's talk about the value of the game. Now, I played this over on PlayStation 4 and I was thoroughly satisfied with my experience. I was shocked at how well it played. It plays at a smooth 60 frames per second at 1080p with very little to no frame drops. Even when things are going haywire, very rarely do you experience frame drops, and the visuals maintain their great high fidelity. So I was very happy with the game in terms of performance. And if we head on over to Metacritic, they definitely agree over there. metroexodus on PS4, 83 from the Metascore from the review side and 8.1 from the user score. So other people are also very satisfied with the experience. So you can definitely rest assured that you are going to be happy with the game you're going to be playing here. Now, that's just one aspect of it. Now, is this game really worth your buck in terms of playtime? I would say absolutely. We haven't considered the price yet, but considering the playtime, if you head on over here to how long to beat, you've got about 17 hours if you pretty much only focus on the main story and do nothing on the side, but a solid 22 and a half hours if you do some of the side activities. Not exactly side content, but there's some side activities that you can do. There's a number of DLC missions that are quite interesting that you will enjoy, that you can hop into, and there are a few other distractions that you can sink your teeth into. This is definitely worth it, guys. For me personally, it actually spent me a lot more time. It probably took me about 30 hours to complete both of them. This is including me completing the DLC that they had to offer to me, and it also included me doing some of a bit of quite a substantial amount of looting, seeing what else I could find, secrets, ammo. There's a lot of cool things that you can find as you continue to explore the game, and with the multiple endings that the game even offers you, there's quite a decent amount of replay value over here with the different endings, if you keep that into consideration. Okay, well, now we've considered how long it takes for us to finish the game. Now, is it really worth the buck in terms of the money we have to pay? Absolutely yes. If you're down here in South Africa, if you pick it up on sale, you can get it for the low price of 80.85 rands. It's a bargain. For 2 games, that is a very solid and great experience on your PlayStation 4. This is definitely worth your money. It's nice and cheap. It's definitely not going to hurt you, and it's pretty much a steal at the price we're talking about over here. If you're down there over there in the US, you can get it for the low price of $4.49. Very low price, guys. This game is not going to be hurting your wallet. I'll be absolutely honest with you. The reason I even first picked this game up was because of this great and attractive price. And what kept me playing and kept me going was its unmistakable class and quality. I kept going back because I truly enjoyed the game, not because it was cheap. So guys, this is definitely a game worth picking up. Guys, you're definitely not going to go wrong if you go ahead and pick this up. And guys, if you're over on PC, of course, PC games are always going to be cheaper. You can get it for the low price of $3.81. Guys, this game is literally a steal at the way that they're pricing it. It's an old game, came out back in 2014, but I would say it's definitely worth playing. It's not going to blow you away, as I said, by any of its individual aspects, but as a sum of its parts, it's definitely something interesting, a great game, memorable to me. I'm not sure if I'm going to play it again, again and again, but it's not always about that. Replay, I wouldn't say replay value is something I'd consider greatly or highly, as long as I enjoyed and really, relished that first experience, that's something that I truly cherish. So guys, if I were to give this game, metroexodus, a rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. This is with all the aspects taken into consideration. It's got a decent story, but the focus of the game is definitely more with the interesting journey and the various trials you have to deal with on your journey to complete the game. You're definitely going to enjoy the gameplay. Is solid, nothing crazy, but it's solid enough. The visuals are great. It's immersive. It succeeds with flying colors in that department. The immersion is good. It's solid. And everything else is just truly great in terms of value. You can easily clock out 30 hours if you do some of the side content, the DLC. 30 hours for such a low price you can get it for. Guys, this is, as a patient gamer, this is a very intelligent gaming decision, and you're definitely going to enjoy the game. Guys, it's the best of both worlds. Your wallet is going to be happy, and you're going to be happy for buying yourself a quality game. So guys, go ahead, pick this up. It's got my reigning endorsement. You will enjoy it. It's also got some stealth elements too, so it's got a little bit of something for everybody, bro. And I'm not even someone who generally enjoys horror games, bro. So guys, go ahead and pick this up. Thanks again for listening to another one of my patient gamer reviews. Go ahead and pick this up. Like, comment, subscribe, help a brother out. Subscribe to the channel. More content will be on the way. Take it easy, guys. Explicit Sage out.